All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Walter Morton. I'm the Director of Government and Community Affairs at the Connecticut Energy Marketers Association, also known as SEMA. Thank you for coming today to hear and learn a little bit more about biodiesel. We have lots of visuals you can shoot after the press conference, and I'll explain that later on. But first, let's get to the reason why everyone is here today. From French fries to fuel to heat your home, biodiesel is green, good for the environment, and creating jobs here in Connecticut. Biodiesel is the future of home heating here in Connecticut, and it's made from things like discarded cooking oil from restaurants and universities, and even from baseball stadiums like the Yard Goats in Hartford. How cool is that? Tomorrow marks the 1-year anniversary of a new state law that went into effect, which requires biodiesel to be mixed with ultra-low sulfur home heating oil. The brand name is called BioHeat Fuel. You'll hear that a few more times during this press conference today. This fuel is already working to lower greenhouse gas emissions, making today, tomorrow, and the future a better place for us, our children, and our grandchildren. More than 50% of the homes here in Connecticut are already using this fuel. Today we'll cover all aspects of biodiesel, from the restaurant owner who recycles his used cooking oil, to the driver who picks it up, to the manufacturer that turns it into a safe, clean burning fuel, to the wholesale distributor, and to the home heating company that delivers it to your tank. But first, we're going to start with the person who made this all possible. State Representative Joe Gresco is the chairman of the Environment Committee and was the driving force behind the bill that ultimately made this day possible, along with the cleaner and green future that comes with it.
We can lower our greenhouse gas emissions now as we evolve into the future using renewables. I also would like to thank David Arconti, who was the House Chair of the Energy Committee, and Senator Norm Needleman for helping to shepherd this through. As you know, it's never one person that does the legislation. It's a team effort, and without both of them, this really wouldn't have happened. This Connecticut law, which took some years to pass, and on a side note, I like to use props to remind me of things to do, so I believe it was Chris that gave me this bottle of biodiesel some 4 or 5 years ago that I kept in my desk that reminded me that we needed to, keep on this and keep it passing. So I would put it out on my desk, and my colleagues would say, "What is that?" And then I would explain it to them, so that when the time came to vote on the bill, they knew what I was talking about. So in this first year, it was a 5% biodiesel this past winter blending phase-in. And that eliminated the use of 17 million gallons of heating oil and replaced it with this renewable biodiesel. This reduced CO2 carbon emissions by 192,000 tons of CO2 and carbon emissions, equivalent to removing about 38,000 vehicles per year off of our roads, and that's just with the 5% blend. As we go on in years, the blend percentage will increase. When the law is fully implemented, it'll reduce CO2 emissions by close to 2 billion tons annually. And when the topic of greenhouse gas emissions arises, sometimes I get comments from my colleagues well, we get power plant emissions from the Midwest, and look, the Canadian wildfires are reducing our air quality, just like today. Why are we even bothering doing this? And my answer is because we need to clean our house first. We need to concentrate on lowering our greenhouse gas emissions generated in the state of Connecticut, specifically for Fairfield County, before we can ask for the EPA to help us in getting the power plants in the Midwest to reduce their emissions. Speaking of, the EPA is probably, if they haven't already, imminent in making biodiesel blending decisions for the next couple of years going forward. So And lastly, going forward for the state of Connecticut, I'm hopeful in that we can start to generate talks with specifically the Greater Bridgeport Transit to try to see about blending biodiesel in with transportation going forward. Just a regular old vehicle fuel blend would be also the next step as the refining process continues to improve. And lastly, I would look for maybe a thermal renewable energy credit bill for next session. So that's about it for me. Thank you, everybody, for helping out.
Just thrilled that it has come in full circle to mandating us, the whole industry, to including this fuel, this renewable fuel, into our oil. We've been in business since about 1902. I'm 5th generation at this. We've gone from delivering coal to heating oil, to a high sulfur heating oil, to an ultra low sulfur heating oil, and now today we are now selling a bioheat, which is blended with heating oil, conventional heating oil, and biodiesel, and removing as much heating oil as possible out of our fuels to help out the environment. This is very important product for both our community and the jobs that it creates, for the environment, and for the state of Connecticut here. Representative Gresko, I'd like you to come stand next to me for a second. I want to thank you for something.
Is this a before and after thing?
Yeah. Because of this man, he has helped our company reduce greenhouse gas emissions. From my calculations, because in the last 9 months alone, we have reduced 324 million tons or pounds of CO2 emissions in the state of Connecticut alone. And that's just from our company alone. I want to thank you for the work that you've done, help us do and create. Where we're not talking about this, we're actually doing this. And it's working now, and it's helping the environment and the state of Connecticut tremendously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Nick D'Addario from Ohio Energy Services. We're a division of D'Addario Industries. We've been in business since 1927, and while it's not the 5th generation, it's the 4th generation that's running our business. We service several thousand customers, home heating fuel customers in Fairfield and New Haven County, and we've been doing bioheat for over a decade now. We offer between 5% and 20% biofuel to our customers on any given day, and I think it's great that we're having this commitment to renewable energy. This is something that we can do right now to impact the environment. A lot of other ideas that may come out in the future, that's a ways out. This is something that makes an impact right now for the environment, and we're very happy to be part of the solution. Not only has it been very successful, feedback from our customers over the last decade, but we have lower costs, lower maintenance costs for our customers. And speaking, you said you're a family-owned business. Most people in this industry are family-owned businesses. We employ about 35 people locally in the area, and I think it's very important for these small and mid-sized businesses to continue providing support to the community and jobs to the community, and we would be faced with a disaster if we didn't have the opportunity to be working with the biodiesel, and we're very thankful for everything the legislature and you've done to push this in Hartford, and I'm looking forward to B99, so thank you very much.
We are the largest biodiesel plant on the eastern seaboard and in New England, with a nameplate capacity of 40 million gallons annually.
We also want to thank Representative Gresko for leading the charge on low-carbon fuel policies in Connecticut. We produce some of the lowest carbon biodiesel in the country right over there in New Haven, and usage of our fuel helps our partners in the heating oil industry substantially reduce their carbon footprint, benefiting our environment, our air quality, and our economy.
We pride ourselves on converting waste feedstocks, like the used cooking oil produced at this restaurant, into a high-quality fuel.
We have international sustainability and carbon certification for our implementation of environmentally, socially, and economically sustainable production. And we also have 3 environmental validations from United Laboratories, including for recycled content, byproduct synergy, and zero waste to landfill. We appreciate the support of Representative Gresko and our friends at SEMA as we continue our efforts to help Connecticut meet its environmental goals. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Johnny Vazzano, and I'm president of the Vazzano Restaurant Group. Quick little story. We've been recycling probably for 60 years. A company called Herman Isaacs used to be in Bridgeport, and we had a restaurant in Westport. Our first restaurant was at Westport, Three Bears, and we used to recycle all our waste fats and this and that and put in a barrel. Speed it up, we've come a long way since then. We use a company called Filter, which will give you a little more of the science of it. I'm not up on the science of it, but we've been using it in all our establishments, and we're making a little impact. And I think that if we get the word out, we get more restaurants and more people that use the fats and in the food trucks, and it's a big industry. You know, obviously the restaurant industry is the biggest employers in the state, so it could be a great thing. I think I'm going to call the representative from Filter, the president, to come up and explain what we do and some of the impact we've made with the numbers in our establishments and at Fairfield University and Fairfield Prep, and give an example of all the numbers for you. Thank you again, and thank you, Mr. Gresko, for getting it going, and it seems like it's working pretty well.
Thanks for having us. Kurt Wiegand, I represent the Filter franchise in the state of Connecticut. Filter has 130 franchise owners around the country that are all doing their part to collect the cooking oil that's used in the restaurants and convert it back to biodiesel. We've had the privilege of working with John at all of his locations for several years, including this one. I brought some numbers. Each year, for each restaurant, we provide an environmental impact report that shows where every pound of oil that we've collected has gone and how it's been, you know, the impact that it's had on the environment. So I brought along some numbers from his Fairfield Prep location. Over a 32-week period, not 52 weeks because it's a school, we collected 2,800 pounds of used cooking oil, which replaced 7,597.3 pounds of carbon dioxide, took that out of the environment. And that would have the impact of planting like 380 trees. That's a 4-fryer stop that we visit 32 times a year. We have information from another stop with 5 fryers. We visit them each week. We collected 13,000 pounds of used cooking oil, and that equated to 35,273 pounds of carbon dioxide that was taken out of the atmosphere, and it would be like planting 1,764 trees. So I think I'm going to bungle the quote, but I think it's think globally, act locally. Each of these restaurants is doing their part by letting us reclaim the used cooking oil. And, you know, like you said, we're collecting from larger stadiums as well. There's a lot that's going back in there, and I think everybody's doing their part. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Kurt, and thank you again to all of our speakers and our host, John. If you have any questions of our speakers, we'll be more than happy to address them at this time.